Okay, the next problem is 3-14. Write the equation represented in each diagram below on your paper. So here are the diagrams they're talking about. For each part, simplify as much as possible and then solve for x. Be sure to record your work on paper. It says explore using the 3-14a homework e-tool. And so these are e-tools which I believe have this arrangement of tiles up. So why don't we go ahead and use those? So I'm going to open up this e-tool, which is the one for A. And now that we've got that up, I'll pull up my piece of paper. And as you'll recall, the directions for this say write the equation. So we'll have to write down the equation for this. And then we'll simplify and we'll solve for x. And as we're doing that, we'll record our work on paper. So let's go back to the tool. And the first thing we'll do is write down what the, so this is 3-14A. Looks like my, okay, this froze up for a second. Okay, here we are, back here. 3-14, and this is going to be A. And the first thing we need to do is write the equation. So I'm going to move this over just a little so that it's right underneath. And then we can write the equation right underneath here. Okay, so let's see. The first one up on top, I can see I've got two positive x tiles. So I'll write 2x. And then I have 3 positive 1 tiles. So that's 3. And then I have the negative area below, which I will show in an equation by making a negative sign and parentheses. And I have a positive x inside that negative area. So now it's inside my parentheses and a negative 1 tile. So that's our first equation. That's the left-hand side. And then you'll notice the double lines running down the middle of the equation mat. So that's where we'll put our equal sign, because we know these sides are equal because there is this double line running down the middle. Okay, so now we write what we find on the top part, which is 2x on the right. And we've got 2 negative 1 tiles, so that's negative 2. And then for the negative region, we make a negative sign and parentheses. And inside that negative, or the parentheses, we put negative x, because we've got a negative x tile right below. Okay, so now we can start simplifying. And we might want to look first and see, okay, well, what are the legal moves that we have that we can use to simplify? So we could make zeros or combine like terms, but I don't really see any opportunities for making zeros. So probably the next thing we'll do is we'll just flip. We'll take these things that are down in the negative area and flip them, and then see if we can make some zeros or combine like terms from there. So I'll take these two things and move them up. And then I have to flip them. So this becomes a negative x. And then let's take this up here and flip it. Okay, so now that we have flipped, let's go ahead and see what has happened. So we'll go ahead and write this part just the same way for now. And then to flip what's inside these parentheses, we know that the values that are inside the parentheses have to be the opposite now, because that's what this negative sign in front of the parentheses means. I'm going to flip these over and flip them from positive to negative and from negative to positive. So the positive x becomes a negative x, and the negative 1 becomes a positive 1. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing over here. We'll just write this part as if it were the same, and then we're flipping this negative x to being a positive x. Okay, so now let's look and see. I think we can maybe make some zeros and combine like terms here. So if we look here, these two we can combine. So we'll take those, and we made a 0. And then here we can't really make any zeros, but we can kind of straighten these all out and then count them up and combine like terms. So if we're doing that, so now we're looking at, we've got a negative x and a positive 2x. So we know that is just 1x now. And then we've got a 3 and a 1, and we know those are just 4 positive 1 tiles. And as you can see up above, this matches up with what we've done with the equation. So let's look over here on the other side. So we combined the 2x and the other x, and now we have 3 x's, 3 positive x's, and we still have this negative 2 here. And as you can see, that is exactly what we have up here too. Okay, so let's see. We know that we want to get the x's by themselves. So let's see, what else could we do? We could look at the third thing, which is removing the same value tile from each side, because it looks like we have a positive x on both sides. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got this positive x we'll take away, and this positive x we'll take away. And so let's see what that looks like on our paper now. Okay, so we have one less positive x. We've subtracted an x from each side. So now we have no x's over here. We only have a 4. And then over here, we've subtracted 1x from the 3 x's we have. So we have 2 x's left, and we still have these 2 negative tiles. Okay, that's great. So now what can we do? We'll look at our next legal moves. We could get the x's by themselves by adding some tiles to each side and making zeros. So to make zeros out of these 2 negative ones, we would have to go and get some positive 1 tiles. So we need 2 over here to make those zeros. And whatever we do on this side, we also have to do on this side. So I'm going to get 2 positive 1s over here also. And so now we'll take these and add them up here. And we can make zeros out of this. So let's go ahead and do that and pull that off. So let's see what we have left now. Okay, so we added a positive 2 to each side. So over here, we have 6, and over here, we've got 2x, and this zeroed out. All right, so now let's take a look at what moves we have left. So we're still trying to get just 1x and find out what its value is. So maybe now it's time to divide both sides by the same amount. So I've got 2 x's here. So if I divide those in half, then I can actually take 3 of these and have 3 of these. So it looks like if we divide both sides by 2, that x is going to be equal to 3. So if we do that, divide by 2, then we see that yes, x is equal to 3.